guys, welcome back to my 31 days of Halloween. If you don't know, my name's Brittany, and definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button because I am posting every single day this month. So you are not going to want to miss a single episode. So today we are actually going to be talking about the urban legend of Cropsey that became a way too harsh reality. Now, Cropsey was a scary story that you would hear while sitting around a campfire, and parents would use the tale to spook their child into going to bed, which sounds really harsh. Like, here, let me tell you this really terrible, scary thing to get you to go to sleep so then you have a nightmare about it. But they would tell them to go to bed or Cropsey will get you. But this scary tale quickly became a very frightening reality. Now, Andre Rand was a custodian at the Willowbrook School for the Mentally Disabled. And basically, when it shut down, he started murdering children. He was originally born as Frank Russian, but he's now immortalized as Cropsey. Now, Willowbrook was open for 40 years, and they severely mistreated the students. The children were exposed to severe sexual abuse and corporal punishment, along with the school being so overcrowded that it led to extreme unsanitary conditions. Which, I mean, if they're treating the kids like that to begin with, I'm sure that it would be unsanitary either way. It was also home to one of the most unethical medical experiments, the experiment on children in the name of hepatitis research. They would inject healthy children, like perfectly healthy children, with the disease. And most of them became severely ill after it. Now, the public had no idea what was happening inside the school because a lot of the students in the school had been abandoned by their parents and by the foster care system. It wasn't until Geraldo Rivera revealed how bad the inside of the school was, like everything happening in the school. In 1972, sorry. In 1972, when he released an expose on the institution, the school didn't close though until 1987. The negative publicity of the school actually had a great deal to do with the passing of federal civil rights legislation that protects mentally disabled and other people who have been institutionalized, which is great. I mean, it sucks that something so terrible had to happen first, but I mean, at least that's now in place. Now, Andre Rand actually left Willowbrook well before it closed. But many believe that what was occurring in the school led to the events that happened later on. Andre Rand was born March 11th, 1944 in Manhattan. Due to the acts that he committed that I'm going to get into, he's serving a permanent life sentence. He's serving multiple 25 years to life sentences, so most likely he's never getting out. The legend, the urban legend of Cropsey, says that a man with a hook for hands would drag children away from the safety of their homes and carry them to an abandoned hospital. I know growing up, I was always so terrified of kidnapping. Getting kidnapped was my worst fear. Literally, that was my worst fear. So if I heard a story like this, an urban legend like this growing up, it would terrify me. I mean, it still does. I mean, it's just awful. And I'm kind of curious that, like, I don't know what the inspiration of Nightmare on Elm Street was, but I wonder if Andre Rand had a lot to do with that. Because on Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger obviously does some really terrible things to the children, and the parents want them to forget about it. So then they, burn Freddy, and then Freddy comes back in the kids' dreams when the kids are older, but the kids don't remember the things that he did to them until, like, later on everything starts clicking. But it's like Andre Rand was a custodian in a school, and Freddy was a janitor in a school, and they both did awful things to children. So it adds up to me. So we are going to dive into why Andre Rand was linked so closely to the urban legend of Cropsey. Now, between the school's closing and the early 1970s, several young girls in the area went missing. The first was 5-year-old Alice Pereira. Now, she disappeared on July 10th, 1972, and seemed to vanish into thin air while playing with her brother, just a few miles southeast from Willowbrook. Now, by this point, Rand had already served 10 months in prison for the abduction of several children. So at this point, like, he had already served that and he was released, so he was out. Which, if you abduct several children, how are you out in 10 months? Like, that seems super short to me. I feel like anything, especially with children, should just be life. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts, like, life. Now, he was never actually convicted of kidnapping or abduction, though, because they didn't have enough evidence. And none of the kids were harmed, which, still, like, really? 10 months? But he did get charged with unlawful imprisonment. Now, since Pierre went missing when Rand was released as a free man, authorities naturally looked at Rand as a suspect. However, there was not enough evidence to convict him, so nothing ever happened with that, and she was never found. Which, I can't imagine that as a parent. Like, I mean, it's bad enough when you find something horrible happen to your child or you lose a child, but they never knew what happened. They never got that closure. Now, on July 15th, 1981, 7-year-old Holly Ann Hughes went missing. Her parents filed a police report, and several people said that they saw her with Rand shortly before she disappeared. However, again, there was no actual evidence. There was just people saying that they saw her with Rand, but nobody had proof, so it went nowhere again. 2 years later, Rand was a primary suspect yet again. 11-year-old Tahisi Jackson disappeared shortly after Rand was released from prison in 1983. Now, in 1984, 21-year-old Hank Gaforio went missing. He was last seen at a diner with Rand. The worst part about all of these cases, on top of these people and these children vanishing, is that nobody was ever apprehended. Now, back in 1969, Rand was arrested in the South Bronx after attempting to rape a young girl. And in 1983, while he was working for a Staten Island school bus company, which he went to jail, or he got arrested, I guess. He got arrested for trying to rape a young girl, And now he's working for a school bus company. Like, don't people do background checks or actually look into things a little bit further? But anyways, he worked for a Staten Island school bus company, and he kidnapped 11 children. He brought them to lunch, and he drove them to New Jersey's Newark International Airport for no apparent reason. Now, July 9th, 1987, a 12-year-old girl who was born with Down syndrome was reported missing. The search for her lasted 35 days. And according to the New York Times, Schwager was found dead in a shallow grave on the property of the Willowbrook State School. Now, Rand had already been arrested in connection with her disappearance before she was discovered. He was actually caught lying to reporters, claiming that he never met her, which contradicted the statement of numerous witnesses. And he changed his entire story once his defense lawyer heard about all these individual accounts, which, yeah. Now, when her body was found, Rand was charged with murder plus kidnapping. And in 1988, even though the jury could not come to a verdict, I don't get how the jury couldn't come to a verdict, but that's just me. But the jury couldn't come to a verdict on the murder charge, but he was convicted of first-degree kidnapping. Now, in 2004, Rand was actually found guilty in Hughes' kidnapping. Now, this was over 2 decades after she went missing. There wasn't enough evidence at the time to link him to it, but later on, they found some, and then he got charged with that, and he served another 25 years to life sentence on top of the one he was already serving. He would not be eligible for parole until 2037, which he would be 93 years old at that time. So most likely he wouldn't make it that long anyways. Now, Rand sent numerous letters to the Advance while behind bars. These were neatly written Mother's Day letters, who he directed at, quote, all the ladies on Staten Island who supported prosecutional vindictiveness against an innocent person. These letters read, quote, should I become a millionaire, it would be my true nature to grant you, all with each an envelope full of seeds, to plant and cultivate a rose bush that produces roses every season as a token of my heartfelt forgiveness, rather than a bouquet of rosebuds which blossoms and shortly dies out. Like, what kind of sick, twisted man would write that to, it's like, some of those people lost their children, and he's writing that? There is still a search group that goes out twice a year to search Willowbrook's 385 acres to search for the missing girls. And it still severely haunts the community. He's just, the fact that his, like, those weren't the only letters he wrote, but the fact that his letters were like, they didn't show any sympathy. Like, yeah, okay, he's behind bars for murders and stuff, but like, still, I feel like that, like, that shows even more that he did it. I don't know. I don't have any respect for people who hurt children. And I could probably create a 4+ hour long video just ranting about it. But it was a lot of urban legends, a lot of things in general are based off of some truth. Something inspires them. But I can't imagine the terror that those people felt when child after child was going missing. I mean, that happens now, but... And the conditions at that school, what happened at that school? I don't know, you guys. I want to know what you guys think about all of this. And if you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you are not subscribed yet, definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button. You know, just be safe. And I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.